call our meeting, a public hearing meeting to order. Rachel, do you have some things to add to what we have talked about?
So at your last meeting, the declaratory resolution was approved for our Country Home Enterprises. And so this evening is our public hearing and the consideration for the confirmatory resolution. So this will be the final step in the process. Just a quick review of the project. The company plans to invest $2.75 million in real property improvements. They plan to do an addition at the site of 30,000 square feet. And I believe they've already gotten approval for the Allen County Plan Commission to do so with their secondary. They don't plan to add any employees at this time, but they will be taking the employees that are at the current facility and just transferring them over to the new facility. And there are 8 of those. They have payroll. Their total payroll is a little over $470,000 for those 8 employees. So they are eligible for a 5-year tax abatement. So over those 5 years, the company will save around $193,000, while they'll still pay $450,000 in taxes. So if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
I don't have any at this time.
No, I think we were pretty clear.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
It's exciting for them. They're building on. So
We need a motion to accept.
I think just to see if anybody else has any other comments, and then
Any further comments? Council felt it was a good move at this point in time. So we approved the tax abatement last time. Okay.
You have to read a resolution and all that. Yeah. Probably by title only. You got a resolution number?
Yes. Yeah.
2025-1.
2025-1.
-1.
Resolution number.
Oh, you had resolution number in.
2025-1.
I make a motion, we accept the resolution number 2025-1 for the tax abatement for Our Country Homes.
Second that motion.
Abstain.
Carried.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you all. It was quick.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Thank you so much.
Is that considered third and final, or
That resolution, you have to do
do you have to do that 2 times, 3 times?
3 times? 3. Gotta do the
Could do that one.
Second reading.
second reading.
Okay, I make a motion,
This.
accept the resolution number 2025-1, tax abatement for Our Country Homes.
Second it.
Abstain.
Any further questions, comments? If none heard. Third reading.
Third reading. Make a motion, we accept third and final reading of resolution number 2025-1 for tax abatement for Our Country Homes.
Second.
abstain.
We close the public hearing. We will welcome visitors with our new regulations and so on. If you will please come up and stand at the yellow square or check mark and state your name and address, we would appreciate that if you'd like to make comments to the council. Do either of you have any additions or corrections to our minutes from our last meeting?
Not necessarily that I looked over.
I got one.
Council.
Okay, sorry.
No, I didn't.
Briefly?
Yeah, where it says on West Street, the West Street cut in with 3-foot section. I just removed by cutting in a 3-foot section. I'm not sure what that's being referred to. It's just putting a tap in.
You gotta go out the street 2 feet to get the thing.
Yeah, we're putting a water tap in it.
Yeah.
It says cut out a 3-foot section. We may cut out a 5-foot section for all we know. I mean, it just had to be in there. There's no point in putting it in there.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as recorded.
Okay.
I don't know if I can I do that since I was going to do?
I'll second it.
Yeah, I'll say that then.
Okay. Contracts accept. Do you have any comments about that?
I had a conversation with Mitch Wilson from the State Board of Accounts, not last week, but the week prior.
Mm-hmm.
Just going off of different contracts that we need to renew, things that I just need to get into place. And due to the fact that not everything is up to date with the A&K contract, things that are listed within the contract that they are no longer doing, and then there's things that they are doing that aren't listed within the contract.
Mm-hmm.
He informed me that due to the fact that it's not up to date, it would be difficult for them to determine what exactly services are being provided. And then that's where an itemized invoice would be required until the contract has been
Mm-hmm.
brought up to date. So I just wanted to kind of touch base on that and inform both the council and A&K.
Are you available on the 23rd, right before our next business meeting? About 5:30 or so to go.
We need an executive meeting.
Executive meeting.
Go over that.
To go over that.
So 8th of April here?
Yep. Our next meeting on the 23rd.
I'm going to be at the Indy conference, I do believe.
Okay.
I'm gonna be there the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, come back on the 24th.
Okay. Maybe make it May 7th.
May 7th will be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Is that right with you?
Yeah. that'd be
Okay.
fine.
Time.
5:30?
5:30? Yeah. Okay, very good.
In the meantime, what do you want from me then on that side of it?
It would at least a skimmed itemized report saying like what was performed on Monday or throughout. I would probably say on the weekly basis because we bill monthly.
Such as,
Perform the water, perform the sewer, perform the streets? I mean, is that what you're, and
yeah.
Okay.
Probably
parks, we'll be doing parks starting
Yeah,
probably
we'll be
next
doing
week, so.
parks. Yeah.
That's, I mean, that's in the contract, so
Yeah.
it's, you know, that's the only thing that's in the not in the contract is the water plant, which is your water source, which we still have that.
Mhm.
The wells, which I gave you paperwork finally, so those will be taken out, and backwashing the filter. Still, your MPDS is still there, and the MROs are still there. MPS stays until I get the testing that came through and that gets approved by the state, so
Yeah, technically, you're still
that's right.
under your
Still under that.
contract.
Everything else in that contract's being done. Not on a daily basis, but it's written there on purpose, the way it's written.
Mhm.
As me and you talked, that way we can cover the broad base of everything that's going on, so. But yeah, I can make it just say,
Yeah.
pour the water, pour sewer, streets and the parks, I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
Okay.
like I said,
We'll
it's
work with
in the
that.
contract and we figure it out, so.
Okay, thank you.
also added a GPS system. That's not in there.
Well, I mean, to add stuff, I talked with Claude, to add stuff is gonna be, to go find details, is gonna be awful tough to make that happen, so. It's left broad on purpose
Mhm.
to pick up all the other little stuff you guys
What
have.
kind of contract do you have with the city of Woodburn?
I'm employed by the city of Woodburn.
So you don't have a contract?
I have a personal contract with them.
Yeah.
But I'm employed by them personally.
So that's a different situation.
I'm their superintendent, employed superintendent.
Okay.
I have one with New Haven. I mean,
Mhm.
I write down the hours that I'm there. And
Yeah.
so
Okay. Very good. Casey?
All right, few action items and just some general updates. Just emailed out a packet, this afternoon, and then I do have a handout there for council, to go through. Starting, with the Waterworks project, basically, other than the restoration, the work's complete. I know that the one item we have to do is submit the testing results so we can finish up the lagoon closure, basically with IDEM. We'll review those results, send them to them, and probably have a conference call with them, and I may ask you guys to kind of sit in on that. With that being said, there is a pay application here, for $26,623.19. Basically with that, you're billed out at 100%. At some point, maybe at the next meeting or the following, Dan and I will have probably a pending change order, for the town to consider. I don't believe it's gonna be very much, but there will be a change order for the project. With this, if you go back to 1A, and I think it's sorry, there's not page numbers on here, but, I think it's like the fifth sheet back, you can see the total amount there of $26,623.19. So with that being said, we would, recommend payment, for this amount, to Fleming, Excavating.
That will take care of the water plant.
Yeah, like I said, the one item we gotta do is some restoration, and then we also have to work through the paperwork for the lagoon closure, but the majority of the quote work is done.
Does that pay app have a number?
Pay application
Pay
number 18.
18. We're just gonna take care of that now?
Yep.
I will make a motion then that we pay the balance due on pay app 18 to Fleming.
I'll second that.
Carrie?
Yeah, it looks like Dan's expecting maybe a $18,000 increase to close this out. We did check with Ross, and you do have contingency money, so I suspect when we close this project out, we will have some contingency money left from SRF that will need to find some means to spend that within the water utility. So once we get this closed out, probably later this summer, I'll work with Eric and Ryan, we'll come up with some recommendations for council to consider, whether it's replacement, whether it's equipment, but it's gotta be something within the water utility. So,
Sure.
and SRS gotta approve all that.
Yeah.
Very normal operations that you have a little bit of money left over. Sometimes you have a lot, sometimes you have a little.
Okay.
On the trail, no action items, of course, that's being administered by the county highway. Again, with all the rain, some of it's caused some delays other than the clearing, of course, but, expecting work, some of the earthwork and demo will start next week. And again, the estimated completion is that first day of August, so as a reminder, Margaret Hirschberger's, of course, in charge of the project, the county, and then Mark Burkmeyer is the, kind of the on-site superintendent. Have you met Mark yet? For the county highway? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Okay, so he's kind of their on-site inspector. We told him one of the times he's over here, either me and Todd or Alex, or one of us will kind of make sure we're here, introduce you guys, cause during construction, we'll wanna make sure you guys have the contact information and everything.
Good.
So that's the trail. If you go to the county ARPA projects, next page, basically, with the sewer extension, there is, on the easements, I did wanna update you, I believe we got the hall easement, and then we did, visit with Jerry South. I say Dan did, I visited with him twice, Dan took him back out there today. He was gonna sign the easements today, but his wife wasn't there, so he's gonna try to set up a time to come in and deliver those and sign those, so, we believe that's on its way. The tree removal and clearing's been done, so there is a pay application here, pay application number 1, for API construction for $26,505, so we would recommend payment of that. There is a copy of that attached in your packet.
Okay.
And that was for ABI?
That was it for API construction.
Then I would make a motion, we pay the pay app number 1 for API construction for the $26,505.
I'll second that.
Motion carried. Thank you.
And then on the Page Road sewer extension, nothing major there. Basically, the API, they just wanted to get the trees down. Not sure when they're gonna start, but I suspect it may be middle of the summer at the soonest, maybe late summer. Just, we didn't tell them when they had to start, we only told them when they had to be done, which is very typical of construction. Page Road sewer extension, basically on all 4 of these, we kinda know with API, but these other 3 projects, we're gonna reach out next week between Dan and I and get a kind of a definitive date when they plan on starting, so we can at least know DLZ, Eric and Ryan, the town, so we can not only schedule construction meetings, but then we can also make sure that, any of that coordination with public is required. On the Page Road sewer extension, I have been getting some inquiries on when that's gonna start, so, the one thing at some point council may start thinking about is, if you recall that 3-inch sewer force main, we're taking it down to, I've been down to his house 4 times,
Steve Iger.
Steve Eichers, really nice guy, really nice guy. He hosted a meeting, it went really well. But either way, the sewer force main ends, right there at his house. And you're gonna have some contingency money, and at some point when these projects get to the end, we may not be using all that contingency money in that project. And we got capacity to pick up some more properties to the south, so.
Yeah.
We'll get that in front of you when that time is appropriate.
Mhm.
The other thing on that project that we'll do at some point is develop like a standard packet that when people wanna connect, they can come in here and get the packet from, the town that basically says, hey, you're putting the grinder in, but these are the grinders, we're gonna give them 2 or 3 they're gonna use. You're in charge of maintaining it, you gotta do this, you gotta make the connections, we gotta inspect the gravity lateral, or Eric does, so to kinda guide them through that process, but that's farther down the line. Sewer lining, no updates there other than we'll confirm when that's gonna start. And then, of course, on the lift stations, again, just touching base when those were gonna start. It does sound like Eric's done a good job bugging the equipment providers, and sounds like the VFDs, we've been told,
Ship today.
so, that's good to hear. I don't have any updates on the NIPSCO coordination. I know Zach and I had a couple meetings, but I have not heard back from them. I don't know if anybody else has, but I have not. And then on the community crossing project, the 2024 street, this is the one for west in Illinois. There is a pay application here. Most of this is associated with West Street. This is pay application number 4 to Brooks Construction for $52,062.93. We would recommend that pay application number 4. And then on Illinois Street, they're waiting for to get started there, but they're expecting to move in according to Brooks here in the next week or two to start on that. And then they're gonna stay in town, of course, and then work on First Street. And that packet's in there as well, that pay application.
Well, I would make a motion that we pay the pay app number 4 to Brooks Construction for the current due of $52,062.93 as recorded.
I'll second that motion.
Motion carries.
And then on 2024-2, the 2025 street, which is also Brooks Construction on First Street, again, we had a public meeting this evening for that project. Did not have anybody attend, but that was advertised, people were notified, but it was a good meeting. We had some discussion with Brooks. Sounds like they're gonna start maybe in the next, I think they said 1st of May, mid-May, maybe at the latest, maybe do a few tree removals. But again, the plan there is that the way they're gonna schedule that, it will not affect the fair. So they're gonna more than likely start at the east end, just remove parts of streets that can be completed, but their current schedule puts them done in early August, maybe first week of August. Nothing on planning, and then plan reviews, I believe we're current on any type of plan reviews that we've gotten either directly from planning or the town or any inquiries.
Okay.
So I have those pay applications. Those need to be signed by Claude. And did you make a motion for pay? You made all 3, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want those now, Claude, or at the end of the meeting? Okay, great.
Did we get something done for Revive, those easement documents?
I believe we sent that to Zach. We sent the information to him. Now, I don't know whether it's came back.
I haven't heard anything back at all.
Because last I knew, they were supposed to get pinged back to me, so either
Yeah,
you or
'cause
I could go
was
up.
gonna deliver those, and
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll follow up.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay, well, Zach's not here. Ryan, what you got?
You wanna take it over, or? I don't know if I remember everything. We've had obviously a lot of rain, but you guys handled it fairly well. A couple of lift stations had some issues. Sawmill Road, during the storm, had a canister. It was actually not the station's problem, it was the ADP's problem. When the canister got struck by lightning, right?
3 poles and something, we'll get it on.
Yeah, so that station went down, but it was more a matter of AEP getting it back up online. Then the Main Street station had a pump failure, but now after today's taken it out and worked, it looks like they sucked in a log inside there in the pump and caused a problem. And I really do mean a wooden log. I mean, it was, yeah, so.
Oh, wow.
They pulled that pump and put the other one down. It's been about 5 years since that pump's actually had to be the old one's been yanked out, but
It's the first time you pulled a pump in that station in 5 years.
yeah, usually every
Wow.
6 months
We
that's
were doing
coming
that
out.
6 months when I first got here, so.
Mm.
So, did send the other pump back down, it caught that log and brought it up, so when they pulled the first one out, there was nothing in it, we assumed there was a problem with the pump. They sent the second one down, the backup pump went down and caught it in the impeller,
Hmm.
so they did get it out of there. Then you had an issue with the floats on Indiana Street lift station, so
Mhm.
those, you lost the off float, right?
Yep.
The off float went down over there, so they replaced that and
Yeah.
stuck it back in. I think he's ordering,
Yep.
he's gotta replace one of mine from Woodburn and order a spare, that way he's got a couple of them on site, so. Other than that, they've been doing a ton of locates all over the place, you guys got bore crews everywhere in town
We
here,
got 2 board crews doing 15 drops
so.
on top of all the projects and street projects and GPSing and.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't know the GPS system, which probably should get some of that head over to Casey, they've got almost everything pinged in town. They're still working on some things, but almost every manhole's been done, every service valve's been done, curb boxes, main valves, hydrants, and they've been updating all the data in there. So your manhole, you know how deep the manhole is, how many riser rings and the size that are in there, inlets, outlets,
Pictures,
yeah, all that's going in that.
color coded for ones that need to be
GIS
sealed and
system that-
fixed.
Didn't have time to do, now that's what they've been doing most of this winter time, so they've been sucking up a lot of time with that and locates, so. And obviously summer's getting here, so they'll start mowing here within a week or so, so. If not already, they've done some mowing, I don't know if they
Yeah,
have.
we took care of town hall today, gift shop and stuff.
So,
Has Elmer Loniger reached out to you?
For,
He's got some major drain issues. I don't know if it's sewer line or just drain there in the back area, the alley, starting in the alley area between Souders and where Sasha's at, going back through there. He just didn't know if we had any idea where any of that underground tied in there. I told him to reach out to you
yeah,
because
he
you
has not yet.
probably know
Yep.
where that runs through there because he's gonna have to do some digging.
this one right here,
Is it storm
Yeah.
drain or sanitary?
I'm not sure exactly what it is.
I'm assuming it's the storm, if I remember right, that storm was a smaller storm line, runs down the alley, and was hooked in during the, Main Street project, cause it was kinda tied in weird, I do believe,
Yeah.
like choked down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it was fixed at that point in time, but it may still just be too small, it's taking a lot of parking lot and drainage in there,
Mm.
so.
And who owns that little stretch of alley between the buildings? Does he own that?
I don't know.
Because
wouldn't
I
know
don't
without
remember
writing.
if that was considered an alley or if that was just, they had an access there when the store was originally there, salaries and stuff, to get back to that back parking. I can't remember
Yeah, I don't know if that's an alley or not.
I can check
when that
that.
was put in
Last
because they've
time I
got the,
looked
they've
it
got
up,
the,
you guys owned it as the city.
We'll have
Yeah.
to go back.
Let me look at Allen County mapping and check the lines and see where they're at.
Yeah.
I can pull it up on my computer and find it all.
Yeah, 'cause I don't know if it's alley that way or, yeah, I don't know how it runs through there.
Where the alley runs.
It might be Elmer's. I think when I.
The alley runs this way,
Yeah.
Through here,
yeah.
so it's your guys' alley there.
Well,
That's where it was at years ago. And of
Yeah,
course,
you guys cut it off though, that comes in.
I think it's been cut off and
guys, when we did our lead and copper update, I just did all the plans for all the properties and went through all Allen County mapping. Some of that over there may not be yours. It
Where
may-
is this at?
Right over here in the parking lot. Some of that may not be yours. I believe it may be Elmer's and some of it may be the general store or all of his. So let me get on Allen County mapping, pull it up, take some pictures, and I'll show you how they all line up.
can you give me a call when you have that?
Yes, sir.
Cause he wants to get that fixed.
Yes, sir.
He just doesn't
But
wanna
I
go in and
believe-
start digging on our property.
But I believe
Cause an
Wilmer told
issue.
me at one point that all the storm drains are our responsibility, right?
I think so.
Yeah, if it's in the alley, it's gonna be our responsibility.
But if it's a storm drain, it's our stuff, so whatever we gotta do, we'll get it fixed. I mean, it is what it is.
I'll double check with him and let him
Sure.
know that he can even reach out to you.
Did we
Yeah.
blind tee that in out there?
I believe when we redid the alley,
It was, it was redone when we were doing the Main Street project.
it was done before that. 'Cause
Yeah,
we-
but then
'cause
we-
she-
Yeah.
They retied it in,
Yes, to the front,
yeah,
all the way around the building, around the front.
but they put the new storm line down through there.
The other thing going through my mind is these companies are coming in, putting all this stuff in your right of way, and we we don't even know what's going in and they're not even getting a permit.
I know it.
And we need to have a permitting procedure, even if we gotta work something in with this company out there doing it now. I just had a small community, I mean, it can be a very extensive permitting process, or it can be very simple. We put a very complicated together one in Chichewana. We put a very simple one together for Cromwell, and Big Tail came in and put a bunch of stuff in, and we, you know, it just tells them they gotta give you plans, they gotta restore stuff.
Mhm.
You know, we got one community where they drilled through a storm sewer, all this rain came through and it sucked out, you know, so I don't know what, I think they emailed us something on Monday or Friday, or they gave it to you, wasn't it? It may be a thing where we need to let them know, hey, you need to submit us plans and we'll give you at least a formal review letter at the town's recommendation, but it's gonna say, you know, just some general comments like, you gotta cross the road perpendicular, you know, you're responsible for restoration, after you're done, you gotta notify the town if there's any problems. They're just cowboying up, putting stuff in. I think at least with,
This crew that came in this time, Casey, was probably the most professional crew.
oh, no, I'm
I've
not,
ever come through here, most.
right, I'm just
It wasn't
saying
like the last time
that
they came
they're
through
putting
here.
this stuff in our road right away and we didn't even, nobody was even notified.
Well, yeah, I had them send it to you because of the trail project going through, like,
Right.
they stopped them because I don't wanna put something in the way, and now you have this trail project, gonna have to have them move or do
So,
something else.
yeah, we looked at it real quick to make sure that there was no conflict, and it appears that there isn't, but I guess I would just ask council, do you want me to do anything? I guess at a minimum would be 0, at maybe a minimum amount would be, we review the plans and we give them a quick review conditional letter, and I can give you a sample of what that would look like. But then the third item would be whether we put together a very simple right-of-way permitting process, cause I don't think the county highway is taking care of that, cause it's your roads.
Right.
And I would get that in front of Zach. I mean, you know, a private developer can't come in and put a driveway in without getting approval through
Right.
DPS,
And
but
I think
a
we need
utility
to-
should be able to come in and just start drilling around and putting pedestals in town, at least
Right.
Yeah.
coming to the town, paying a nominal fee, getting at least a permit, or at least getting a review, and some conditions that they have to meet. Thoughts, again,
I think we need it.
I think we need it too, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, get us something, yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's sort of getting out of hand, cause
Yeah.
turn around there and you're drilling.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, we don't even know half the time, and they're already halfway through the town, it's like,
We
whoa,
have
whoa, whoa.
no clue what's going
Yeah,
on.
and this is typical because a lot of the communities rely on planning and zoning to handle their approvals.
Right.
Well, this is that one item that doesn't fit into that
Mhm.
box if you don't have some type of structure for
Yeah.
right-of-way permitting.
Mhm. Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so, that's not out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Eric, anything else that's out of the ordinary?
Left over from in the old business, we talked about, the lane striping on Main Street between Second and Third Street. Recall how that's not in the center of the road. For some reason or other, it didn't get put there. Well, Todd from DLZ and I went out on March 22nd in the afternoon and kind of reviewed the striping where it was along Main Street, or in the middle of Main Street, that it's not in the middle, and how it's offset and what might be recommended to do for that. And a recommendation is that we leave it as it is for right now, because it's an epoxy paint that's gonna be there for a while. And if we tried to go through and grind it off, we're gonna be damaging our surface of the asphalt and probably create more problems than we solve otherwise. So I think at this time it'd just be a matter of, it's not equal, and that's the way it's gonna be for a while.
when it wears away, we'll come in and paint the lines of work, but you guys won't.
So that's what I had for old business there. Okay. I lost my notes.
The asphalt repairs will be done Monday morning.
Okay, good.
And then, he also gave me a quote to do the parking lot around town hall, if you guys are interested.
Okay, thank you.
Hang on, Cliff. He's gonna give me a quote for the parking lot, if you guys are interested.
Okay, see what it looks like then.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Peters.
Alright, so questions were brought up about the golf cart ordinance. I looked high and low for Allen County's golf cart ordinance and could not find a golf cart specific ordinance for Allen County. They have one for ATVs, UTVs, and snowmobiles, so I don't know if we've just been kind of lumping golf carts in with UTVs. But there's nothing specific on there. There is a state IC code that allows counties, towns, cities to regulate golf carts. So if you want to have golf cart regulations for Grabill, like registration, what equipment they have to have, you are well within state law to do that.
Yeah, we've had one, I think the last sticker, we couldn't get people to come in and buy
That's right.
the sticker, I mean, we charged them $25. They said they had to have insurance and they had to have a driver's license. And then what we have around town, we got a lot of kids running the golf carts.
Same thing over in Leo.
You know, and then I talked to a deputy, and I said, hey, I asked him, I said, we got a problem, you know, we put together this golf cart sticker, back a few years, you know, and we done good, but the last 3 or 4, couldn't get people to come in and get it. And he said, well, they don't need to have it, cause the county okayed golf carts all over the county, except for on the state roads, you know. So I said, okay, so what are you gonna do, you know?
Right. And even if the county said they're okay, you as Grabill can still mandate
And
a
I
registration.
think
Still
I'd
enforceable.
still see
Yeah,
us have a
100%.
sticker. I would like to still see that go, keep it like we have it, you know.
Have you looked at the copy of the Leo Cedar bill that
No,
was sent?
I don't wanna do nothing together.
What I'm saying though, is their regulations are saying pretty much what ours are. I know it's not together,
Yeah.
but you'd have to get, if it's a lot different, then you can't travel, which legally you can't travel from Leo to Grabill anyway, because there's that break between us and Leo that's county, correct?
Mhm.
And from what I've seen, you can't have those on the county road
Right. Now,
regardless.
I've seen them on the county road, and it's kind
all
of
the
like
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, legally they can't do that, but otherwise they would have to have, if we're that much different, then we're looking at a sticker for Leo and a sticker for Grabill to be able to go from one to the other.
See, we got retired people from Harlan that come over to get their groceries on the golf cart.
Yeah.
I will say the closer the ordinances are together, the easier it is for me to enforce because I don't have to memorize. I don't have to know which is okay here and what's not okay here. So if they're close together, it makes it a lot easier for me.
Have you
Look it over, you
enforced
should have got, Scott,
What's
I
that?
don't know if
Have
they sent
you
you a copy of
enforced
it or not, but
What's
the
that?
golf
I don't know
cart
if you've
or
seen
the
the copy of that.
So
No, I haven't
Leo
seen
hasn't put theirs into effect yet.
No.
That goes into effect in May. So
I can send you.
I know the
a copy of it.
discussion Andrew and I've had is if, as close as we can possibly make them, to mirror each other's standards per se, is just 100% going to be easier both on our municipality, their municipality, and Andrew and his team.
and I will say the requirements that Leo has are pretty generic. Brake lights, headlights,
Registration,
slow-moving vehicle sign,
fire.
gotta be a licensed driver,
Yeah.
have to have registry, or have to have insurance, things like
It's
pretty
$25.
simple stuff.
Yeah, that's what our.
Yep.
It's dang near
Yeah.
what we have already. It wouldn't take much
Just
to look at it and just tweak it to us, but I think it mirrors pretty much the same requirements that we had already, so I think if we look at it, like you said, make it easy.
Mhm. Have you pulled many over?
Golf carts?
Yeah.
Last year in Leo, I pulled over quite a few kids driving golf carts, and that's kind of what brought about this
Yeah.
getting the registration thing, because a lot of parents didn't know. They didn't know that their kids couldn't drive a golf cart. That's why a lot of them got golf carts, so their 14-year-old can help them out and go get groceries at Dollar General. So they're like, oh, well, if he can't drive, well, that's not going to help me out then.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was just they didn't know. So this is a way of making it so that they know what the ordinance is, because they've signed saying, hey, I know what these requirements are.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So part of it's education, part of it's enforcement, and that's how you stop bad behavior.
Education's better than
I will say, just in the short time that, you know, we've had the discussion and I ordered the stickers, we've already had 3 households come in and purchase their stickers for this year. So that's 3 more that.
You would have had 4, but I was late today. I was talking to Leo about something else.
We could do a rollout, and then we could roll it out
Now,
even stronger.
Yeah.
Since you're here,
Oh no, I was afraid of this. I've been much better with my equipment. I'm so sorry.
well, he's gonna have to answer that. He's got a vehicle, you can't see him inside the vehicle.
It's my paintball tank, the green thing.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
like that. Running up and down the road, you can't figure out what he's gonna do when he comes to an intersection.
Does it have turn signals and stuff?
I've been using my arm signal out of the left one usually. And that's one thing I am working on.
But to me, you gotta see the person in there to make it safe.
Okay.
Cause you know, you gotta open that windshield up a little bit so we can see your face, you know. Cause you're like a wild man in that thing anyways, you know?
I'd probably make the argument that that's not a street legal vehicle.
That's a John Deere Gator, so.
And you know, you
I
run
know,
up
I'm
and down the
modified.
street in that thing, and it just drives me crazy, you know? And when you can't see somebody in a vehicle, you don't know what he's gonna do at an intersection, you know?
Usually I do have the driver door open, but when I build new stuff into it, that's what I'm doing around town. I'm pretty much rattle testing it, making sure I don't show up at a paintball game and a piece falls off. I'd rather it fall off in town. And
on our streets.
That's encouraging.
Well,
I'm glad we're making you comfortable.
But I just don't like that running up down the street when you can't see the driver. It's bad enough with these tinted windows we get. They're tinted a little darker than what they used to be, you know. But, you know, I mean, that's where I would hate to be an officer. Walk up to a vehicle, you can't see anybody inside that sucker.
Oh yeah, I've been surprised with.
Blow them
what I've
away,
seen
you
before.
know?
yeah.
And, or you could get shot, it's pretty easy, you know, and then the officer's in trouble, you know. And I think, you need to do something about with the driver that, and then you can put it down when you go to paintball. Leave it so it's up when you're driving in town. And so everybody can see the driver. But when you go to paintball, you can pull it down and hide yourself, whatever you want to do, get smacked around, I don't care.
Look at that ordinance that Leo has. It's a pretty detailed description of the definition of a golf cart.
Mm.
It's spelled out pretty good in there. It's for this, and it's for this. It eliminates a lot of the other vehicles that you see ripping up and down the roads.
Yeah.
Certain speeds,
Mm-hmm.
and everything is spelled out in there.
Stephanie, could you get us
A copy of
Yes.
that?
What?
A copy of that?
Yeah,
Yep,
give
I
us
can.
3 copies so Will and
Yeah.
I have, and Jeff
can
each
do
have
that.
one to look at. We don't have to copy it exactly, but we can
At least
Maybe
take the
helpful.
good.
It's pretty.
make it
generic.
easier for,
It is.
Yeah, it's pretty generic ordinance. I mean, it was.
Yeah. okay? Yeah. Stephanie, these other next 3 are yours? Is that right? What?
I'll present them, but
Yeah.
you brought them to my attention.
Okay.
Claude met with Paragon Landscaping, and received a new landscaping service proposal for the 2025 season. Their total being $1,828.50.
This is for those 3 beds from the doctor's office through the hardware in front, which we've had them take care of it previous years. This is just an updated proposal.
Nothing much has changed or nothing
No,
like that.
nope.
What'd you do with it?
I had it a second ago.
Yeah.
Well, now I'll make a motion that we accept the estimate from Paragon to do the proposed work this summer.
I'll second that.
Terry,
I just sent you both copies of the ordinance, golf cart
oh,
ordinance,
okay.
emailed them to you.
Okay. And then, Eric has gave me a copy of a quote from Just Seal It, asphalt advertising for, Indiana Street and State Street. Replacing that, where we had to do dig up. This is a new company we haven't had work with before, but, quote was lower than anyone else, so we thought we'd give them a try.
Might as well try 'em.
They did the church park line across from you, Wilbur,
Mm-hmm.
same guy.
Yeah.
They did a good job over there.
Oh, I think he's the one done my lot down there.
Good, does a good job.
Done a really good job.
And he's very reasonably priced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Accept that.
Well, I would make a motion that we accept the quote from Just Seal It then for the total of $3,207.75 and go ahead and get him scheduled.
I'll second that.
Okay, carried.
And then we had a water line that came from the street. I'm trying to think of where, off of Illinois, at Miss Giovanna Kay's home. And she was more or less invoiced in error. And she is asking or requesting that the town pay the invoice that she had received for $164.
This was by the, you know what you're talking about? Had a water leak.
That wasn't a water leak?
Yeah, there wasn't a water leak.
I remember meeting out there,
Yeah.
but just trying to wonder why it's our responsibility.
What happened with that now?
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with that at all.
Said,
We were doing pothole digging around down West Street, looking for all the services. When they dug her service up, the hole filled up with a bunch of water. I mean, it just came in like gangbusters. She thought she had a little water leak because she put in a new service the year before. The house has been an issue for quite a while. So it looked like a water leak. I mean, it was coming in through the ground like crazy. So it was on her side of the tap. So I told her, I said, hey, if it's a leak on your side, it's your responsibility because you just haven't put it in. You'd have them come out and check it out. Well, there was no water leak. The ground was just holding so much water, it just came in and we opened the hole up. Because after we sucked it back out again, it was never came back. So there was actually no leak.
So that would be our bill then.
Is it something we recommended that she get fixed?
It was something for her to address because it was on her side of the valve. So once it crosses the valve, it becomes the homeowner's responsibility, not ours.
The question is though, that was it like, it was a leak, but we suggested,
It was,
You gave information that maybe she wanted to check if she had a leak.
Yes,
Yeah,
And she thought she might have had a leak.
yes.
yeah.
So she thought she had a leak, so that's why.
Yeah,
And he gave it a number, so that's what he
that's
called.
perfect,
No,
that's,
she
and that's
called her.
fine.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
called
yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Right, that's fine,
Yeah.
and she probably should have been recommended to do that.
It
if
was
an
really, it
issue.
really looked like a water leak, it
So-
really did, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was.
In that instance, I would say it's our liability, and I would make a motion, we reimburse her for the $164.
I'll second that.
Very good.
Just to let you know ahead of time, at our next meeting, the planning, Dave from the planning services will be here along with Mike Frucci, who is a surveyor, talking about, changing our zoning ordinance and our floodplain, amendment to our zoning ordinance, so,
That's gonna be on the 23rd.
yeah, on the 23rd.
Maple here?
So, and on West Street, Terry Highheart had emailed me and asked about parking on West Street once it's completed. And I emailed her back and indicated that we would look at no parking, some areas no parking signs, but it would take us, wait until after we're done with the street, and then we have to create an ordinance to do that.
Yeah, which is pretty much always just on one side anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but if we need to address it and make an
Yeah, I
ordinance and
think we
sign it,
need-
then we
'cause
need to.
they're parking too close to the corner,
That's what he was concerned with.
truck comes around, they can't make it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was her concern, was around
And
the,
we need to have you guys maybe involved a little bit when we're doing that.
I can do it.
You know, you can,
That'd help navigate us in my trip down to the.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, we'll let you know when we do that.
Okay.
Okay. Jeff, do you have any comments about the fire station thing?
Not a whole lot right now. We are gonna be coordinating a meeting with Cedar Creek and Springfield. We're having one discussion. We're asking all the questions. The chief will be presenting, I believe, and I believe the board will be there, cause it's not the chief's discussion, or I shouldn't say his discussion. He's not the one that makes a decision. He's gonna be there as an informative, and I think he'll kinda direct the meeting some. It's the board's decisions. We're gonna get everybody together. We'll have discussions and questions on ownership, leasing versus owning. And at that point, I believe it's gonna be, is it Poe? They've got a contract drawn up that it would resemble.
Mhm.
And at that point, we'll look at if there's anything we would wanna do to it, and with the other two entities, any changes we wanna have, and discuss if it's something viable that we should be taking care of right away. But until then, we're just kinda waiting. They're sending dates around and trying to set something up so we can close the
Yeah,
book on this
it's
one.
gonna depend on what the Cedar Creek and,
The preliminary I've read, it's
mhm,
it's just a matter of schematics, laying it out,
Yeah.
discussing it. It looks good.
So we all three wanna be there.
yeah,
Yeah.
So-
yeah, I think we all three gotta be there, yeah.
Okay. Open the floor for any public comments at this time.
Is this the only time?
Pardon?
Is this the only time for public in
Yes.
the meeting?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'd like to say something about golf carts, if that's alright.
Yeah.
Is this the right time?
Yep.
Brendan Pierce, 13405 Hoosier Street. First off, Wilmer, I'm one of your lost customers. I had a golf cart registration, and I quit getting it after Allen County made that
Well,
change.
yeah, I mean, I did too, you know, I'm gonna get one, they said I don't need it, so.
I agree with you guys completely on the ordinance and the things like the slow moving vehicle. I agree on the driver's license, the insurance, all that stuff. The only part that I'm hoping you'll reconsider is the brake light and turn signals. And the reason being, golf carts are open, we can easily use hand signals. All the golf carts I've seen between our town and a little bit on the outskirts, half of them have built-in turn signals and stuff, which are really nice when you get ones like that. But ones like mine that come from original golf courses, it's only headlights, tail lights. And on my old card, I did add the deluxe kit. It wears out and breaks, and it's roughly a piece of junk. So I'm hoping you'll consider at least allowing, not requiring turn signals and brake light themselves, but still require headlight, tail light, if they're doing nighttime stuff. So that was pretty much the only part on that. And then I had a second thing for you, Mr. Smead. If you're still in the same house, I had a small safety concern for town. Your neighbor, the house on the corner, I mentioned it to him last year. His tree on the front corner is making contact with his power drop to his house, and it's even damaging the tree. You can tell the tree's kind of messed up from that point, so something's happening. I'm kind of hoping us as a town, we can make someone cut that so it's no longer contacting the power line.
I don't know how that works versus calling AEP and reporting it, or
Is that Brandon
is that
Berger's
within our,
house there on the
it's,
corner?
yeah, it's Willis's.
It's before it hits his, the little rain hood thing in between the pole and the house.
Yeah.
So. Alright, thank you.
Check the easement on that, or is that tree within that easement, or is it far enough in? Let's see if it's on our easement.
I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know if it is or not.
It's pretty close to that sidewalk. It's a little west of it. It's on his property. Double check that for me. If it is, I'll get a hold of Willis. I talk to him a couple times a week usually. He would take care of it right away if that's an issue. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's probably fairly close.
Yeah. Any other public comment at this time? If not, close that and go on with approving claims.
Do you know real quick, on cutting trees like that, if they're in amongst the power lines, can a regular tree company get up around those and do that legally?
They do. I don't know if legally might be. I've seen them go in and do it, a bunch of them. A lot of times they let AEP know they're cutting them.
Okay.
And they notify AEP why they're cutting them in case something happens.
So if he's gonna do it, if he's willing to do it, I need to recommend to him he contacts or has his contractor contact AEP.
A lot of times AEP, well, if it's his private line, probably not, but a lot of times AEP can bring someone out and cut it real quick.
Okay. Review the claims. When is our trash contract up? You have any idea?
We have another, I think, two and a half.
Weird, okay. I'll keep asking. I think
Okay.
we'll put it out for bid.
You still in public?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, since that sales guy retired,
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then, my point of contact passed over the winter, Craig. So
Oh.
I've kind of been bounced around and nobody really has a good answer for me, so.
And there's a couple other people around town now that might be available to bid on too. Any questions or comments?
Looks pretty straightforward to me. Comments, Wilmer?
Yep.
I would make a motion then we pay the accounts payable vouchers as reported. Can I get a second?
Yep.
Motion carried. Pay the bills.
Any other questions, comments?
Did you have anything?
Yes. Later.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're moving to a room.
I make a motion then that we adjourn this council meeting
I'll second that.
at 8:00 on the dot.
Smack the thing.
Hey, Casey.
Yeah, if you could check and let me
Yeah,
know.
what's the address of that facility and the name of it?
It's, 1 Catamaran Drive, Windward Isle.
Give me a second.
Oh, my wife gets a zip on that.
1 Catamaran Drive, what?
I found
Sarasota,
mine.
Florida.
Peters. Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's probably
You see, you're the sheriff.
Well, what's the
Saw
name
that.
of your